Connecticut's Back to School Authority is sponsored by Yale New Haven Children's Hospital, one of the best in the nation.
Eyewitness News is your Back to School Authority, and students and teachers in primary and secondary education are gearing up for what will certainly be an unprecedented school year, from online learning to some hybrid options. Channel 3's Caitlin Francis has more on how everyone is preparing right now for the unexpected.
As we inch closer to the start of the school year, life in the era of coronavirus continues to change, and there are more questions about what things will look like. Fran Rabinowitz, Executive Director of the Connecticut Association of Public School Superintendents, walks us through some of the concerns and, to the best of her ability, answers some of those questions.
I think the very first thing I want families to be aware of, I want students to be aware of, and all of our educators to be aware of is that we are planning very, very carefully and very hard to ensure the health and the relative safe conditions for all children and staff. I think that is, the number one priority right now. We want to ensure that whatever model we use, that children will be healthy and safe, and that our staff will be healthy and safe as well.
Rabinowitz is a former superintendent herself. She understands firsthand the planning that typically goes into the approaching school year, and she knows this summer is proving to be a challenge.
Thankfully, Connecticut is in a good place right now, but we need to plan in case Connecticut is not in a good place. How are we going to transition children to a different model, if need be?
We know the state is still planning for several models of learning, although the push is to get as many kids back in the school buildings as possible and as is safe.
I know that there was a questionnaire or survey sent out midsummer, and I think that there were 18,000 students that answered that survey, and what they all said was the presence of a teacher was incredibly important. So even if it is distance learning, they want to see their teacher just the way I'm seeing you right now. Families need to understand that we may have to pivot to distance learning or online learning. I think you're going to see better better distance learning at this point in time. However, I also want to say that even synchronous distance learning is not as effective as in-person learning. So we're trying our best to safely bring back as many children as we can.
Synchronous distance learning is an approach where students will learn in an online classroom together just as they would in person. Teachers will take attendance and students will learn in real time. But if students do go back to distance learning or even a hybrid approach, Rabinowitz says the state needs to make sure they have access to the right technology now. While things can and will likely change leading up to that first day of school, and change again once school is in session, communication between educators, students, and their families will be key. I'm Caitlin Francis, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.